Hello, comrades. This is Brother Soldier coming back to you with part three of part two of System Reprisals in the face of standing for what is right in the Black African struggle. System Reprisals. We talked a little bit about the historical problems that we had in slavery, post-slavery, and then all the way up until present day, things that where the system seems to retaliate on us for what we do is right, and then where do we stand as a people, and where do we go from here? How long does it take for us to figure whether we can live with someone or whether we can't? We have irreconcilable differences, and we need to part company. Some people can't conceive this. How is it possible after all they've built? And we mentioned you can lose that overnight just over a race riot. A race riot or rebellion happens or revolt. I hate to say race riot because a lot of times the powers that be always want to label it as something like we just doing it just out of emotion, but it's not that somebody has come in and broken peace in the community and now the people are revolting and asking for justice, and then it gets unrest. Instead of them doing and dealing with the person who broke the peace, they come and deal with the people for the unrest and provoke it and escalate the situation when they could have de-escalated about dealing with justice the way it is. So I left off the last video talking about everything Hitler did in Germany was legal, is what we have to remember. And so that doesn't make that what they do just because they got the laws on their side and doesn't make it right. So we're beyond that. You know, we know how that works. So anyway, there's a scripture in Matthew chapter 6, verses 11 to 13, where it's talking about the Lord's Prayer. And in that prayer, he was saying, pray in this like manner: Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And this one right here, verse 13, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and the glory forever. Amen. So lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Temptation to fall in a society, in a system that turns us into criminals overnight for something that they want to hardly be checked for. They go unchecked practically in every instance that they do, and you wonder why so many black men are locked up, and these dudes are practically unchecked like they have been since slavery. They hang us and they don't have to go to court. They sweep it under the rug because you're just a dog. So lead us not into temptation. Pray that the tactics of the enemy, the strategies that they use, do not lead us in temptation and trap us to where we lose our lives or lose our freedom unnecessarily. These are the things leading us not into temptation, but delivering us from that evil. These are very serious words in this prayer. And this is what we have to go by. And it's the, as according to Joseph Scott in the book called Black Revolts, it's the political institutions that racism is an outgrowth of, that we have to interface with, we have to interact with, and we see injustices done and we try to do something about it, or we don't do anything about it. But when we face off with these things, you can be led into some serious temptation in that. You could lose your life. Like I said, you could lose your cool, just become angry. You could, anything could happen to you. So that's what that prayer is basically trying to ask you, is that we be led not into temptation. But as it goes, we were talking about how long does it take, or what is going to take for us to know when we cannot live with somebody. And if we know that we cannot live with someone, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to go about it? But I will say this, it is no easy task. But what I will say is that anybody that rises up against injustice, and even in spite of fear, they're able to face their fears. They're able to make their sermons to fit the situation and do not shape their sermons, and the preachers shape their sermons based on their own fear. That the attorneys do not practice law based on their fear of reprisals of the system. That the teachers do not teach falsehood and lies to the kids because of their fears of losing their pension and their job. That the common man will be able to stand for what's right and hold his leaders accountable without fear dictating to them. You know, one thing that one minister said, he's a Muslim minister, and he said that it amazes him to see these brave, big old swole brothers, you know, big arms as big as your hip, or 30-inch thighs, or, you know, can't even speak out against injustice, lifting up houses and tanks, can't even speak out against injustice. Running around with Uzis strapped on your shoulder talking about you gangbangers. All is wearing this scarf here, this bandana over here, and these tattoos running all down. I can't even speak out against injustice. You get a little guy like Dr. King coming out speaking against the injustice, losing his life, but you talk about you so tough. You can't speak out against injustice. You over here smoking brothers, killing dudes that look like killing, just ruthless, trying to show that you're so darn tough. Can't even speak out against injustice. Annihilating your body with drugs and alcohol because you can't face the situation non-medicated without alcohol. You can't face it. Who hath bewitched you and told you these are solutions that a man does when his people are being crippled and maimed and attacked? Who have bewitched you to go down that path, to tell you that everything in the Bible is insignificant because of the fact that we ended up in slavery and it was handed to us by Europeans? They handed to us with their twist on it. Most of them people in this Bible, we'll talk about this too, were people of color. Almost, I would say almost 90% of them. This is just me. But what I've read, I don't get the confusion about there being white and black presidents. I don't look at specific dudes like the guy that carried the cross for Jesus, Nigger Simon, whatever they called him, as just being only black one, or the Ethiopian eunuch. That doesn't tell me everything about who's black. All you have to do is look at the landmass where the people dwelled. Mostly dark people, people of color, are in those regions. And when they make a specific thing about the Ethiopian eunuch, or the, what's that other group, or the Egyptian, they use these kind of words, that's just telling you the ethnicity, because most of the people were dark. Some of them looked just the same. Moses must have looked just like the people who were enslaved at the children of Israel, because they couldn't really tell the difference. That's why they said he's a Hebrew or he's an Egyptian. That's how they distinguish between dark people. Tribes. Some people just as dark as other. One's from Yoruba tribe and the other one's from Ashanti tribe. Two different nations, Nigeria and Ghana. Okay, so they listen to their accent. They listen to the way they talk, the way they eat, the way they dressed. All these tell about who you are. So dark people amongst each other, amongst a diverse group, is going to be designated by his ethnicity or by his tribe or by his language or his customs. So I don't have no problem with the whole Bible is basically people of color. But brothers wrote this book, man. And then when they said, Moses, put your hand in your bosom, take it out as lepers, put it back in, take it out as dark again. Original. Leper, dark. I remember a minister said that it was so, I don't have no real issue with that. So people of color, I have no hang-ups about this Bible in that sense. So I'm good. I encourage you, purchase your salvation, get yourself right with the Creator, get yourself in peace with God, and then go out to battle for your brothers. Just take Jesus, take the Lord with you. Just take God with you. So we in this together, Lord. That's what you do. If you can share some good news about God while you're in the midst of it, do it. But people got to work out their own soul salvation with fear and trembling. So they got to answer. We can't answer for them. They got to answer. So all we do is obligated to share if we get the time. Otherwise, we need to be out here doing our 8-to-5 job or doing our stuff to feed our families and doing our stuff to see that we got justice. So anyway, the reprisals that are out here in this system, they're going to be there. We just have to be soldiers and be ready to deal with it accordingly. There's been some times I've seen some attorneys that wouldn't want to take a case of mine that I had in North America because they were afraid. One of them was a black female. She said, do you ever get concerned about anything about fighting this case? I said, like what? She said, well, what else would I be talking about? And I said, you're talking about fear of death? She said, yeah. And I said, no, that is not my issue. She said, oh, well, but she didn't really want to take my case because she was comfortable in her profession, and she didn't want that type of case, and I was trying to bring charges against a company. And so, it came up to a point where I had to actually go toe-to-toe in federal court without an attorney for about 4 months. Federal court trying to fight. Lost weight. I got real small, the stress of it. I battled with it. But that's about the extent that I can say about it. It was just a trial that happened, and I felt like it needed to, be addressed. I felt like many people agreed with me, but a lot of those brothers did not want to come out and join me. They were afraid. The funny thing is, in one aspect of it, some white females came, some European white females came and wanted me to aid them and help them speak about something. But the brothers wouldn't come to deal with what was going on with us. Just our situation. So it's just like, these brothers, you need to be able to speak out on injustice. And one of the reasons why you be like Kaepernick, you're going to lose your NFL position. You're just up there just highlighting, you rappers, you got all this money and you some of you selling your soul to Satan. Like this Kanaz, this one rapper, they're just selling their soul to Satan, man. It's not worth it. Selling your soul is something you cannot do. For crumbs, then you go back to the dust and you can't take anything with you. So I say, better be on God's side. Well, anyway, maybe I digress. Maybe I got a little bit sideswiped, but maybe that's what needs to be said. But anyway, these are system reprisals, how we decide to structure ourselves in the midst of the battle. Remember, the terrain always determines the kind of battle. The terrain is the conditions and the needs of the people. And that determines the kind of battle that you have to fight. Terrain dictates the battle. So until then, this is the conclusion. I will come back with another topic And we will see you soon. God bless you.